Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's going to be a little bit longer than usual, so I'm going to take you through everything that you will need as a beginner to get into sales, to improve at sales. It may be a case that you're a business owner, an agency owner, a coach, maybe a school content creator, you may be an employee in a sales job. Variety of different people this will apply for, but if you kind of implement this into your sales call forward, this will massively help you. It'll make you feel more confident, more comfortable on the call, it'll help your close rate, and it'll also ensure that your prospects actually have a better experience when they're being sold to by you as well. So let's jump straight into it, and I'll take you through it step by step, and you can pause this, you can go back through it, use it however you'd like. And if you want more information too, we do have the free school community called the Closers Clinic that you can jump into for further information on this. So step one, the first thing I want you to think about is mindset. And this isn't kind of speak it, believe it, achieve it. This is very much just thinking about how to approach the call and how to think about it from the prospect's point of view. What's going to make it a more enjoyable call from their point of view. They're probably going to be on a lot of sales calls in their time, or at least a handful where they've had a really bad experience where someone's tried to sell them. It's been really hard, really pitchy, really uncomfortable for them. So that's the first thing that you want to avoid. So what I've written down here is sell by asking, not by telling. So what I mean by that is, say for example, you jump on a call with a prospect, rather than straight away being like, hey, and trying to build fake rapport, and then because you're just itching to get into your pitch, just very relaxed, hey, where you calling him from, or hey, how's your day been, whatever it might be. Just a quick casual opener. You don't even have to do that if you don't want. If that doesn't suit your personality style, you want to jump straight into it, again, no problem at all. You can kind of take this as you will. Once you get into the call, the first thing you kind of want to do is just map out the agenda for the call and be like, look, this is everything we're going to cover today. And the first part of that will always be the discovery. And what I mean by here, by sell by asking, is now this is where you ask them questions. So what have they tried before? What is the problem they have? What are they looking to achieve? What does like a good outcome for them look like? All these different things. So you can actually build a picture in your head of not only like, would this person likely buy from you, but are they actually a fit for what you're selling? Like, do they actually align with the solution or the product or the service that you're selling to them? And not only does this benefit you by asking them, but it also allows the prospect to start selling themselves in their mind from the start as well. And this isn't some sort of like persuasion mind trick or anything like that. This is purely just the prospect relaying to you the problem they know they already have. Because of this, it starts to then build a picture in their mind as well. So as I said here, diagnose before you prescribe. You can't prescribe anything if you're a doctor, for example, if you don't know what the problem is, or you wouldn't be a very good doctor if you did do that. So always focus on asking first before telling. The next thing then is people tend to buy on emotion rather than justify it with logic. So what you want to do as well is when you're asking these questions is, what would it mean for you if this worked? Or how would you feel if you didn't have this problem anymore? That kind of stuff. And the person within their mind will like, cool, if I didn't have this problem, I wouldn't be having sleepless nights. I wouldn't be exhausted going over this. I'm sick to death of watching YouTube videos to try and fix this or figure it out by myself. All these kind of things, they're the sort of things you want to get that prospect thinking about. The third thing as well is that trust will beat likability. So when I first started in my first sales role, the big thing was about building rapport and asking where they're from and all these kind of things, and spending 5 minutes at the start of the call to make them like you. Complete waste of time in my experience. All it'll do is lead to the prospect actually trusting you less, especially because every salesperson will try to do this if, of course, they've been given that advice. So in terms of trust, the way to do this is just being completely honest with your prospect best you can. If, for example, the thing that you're trying to sell to them isn't a fit, just let them know that. Like, there's no point going through the rest of the call. Save them some time, take it off of their plate and move on. Again, if they're looking for a package that wouldn't be too expensive for them, or they wouldn't get their money's worth from it, just be honest about that. Just tell them that. And again, they'll be like, oh, well, normally someone would try to sell me a more expensive thing, so just by them being honest, I like this person more, and they'll come back to you. Again, on the right hand side here, talk around 30% of the call. So again, this all just comes back to asking questions. You want them to be giving you some detailed answers. Don't get me wrong, you'll have some calls with prospects where it's like pulling teeth. They don't really want to give you any answers. But again, coming back to the honesty piece, you can be like, look, I'm going to need a little bit more information here from you if you can. Reason being is that the more I have, the more I can kind of help you, and we can get to the solution a little bit quicker. And if they kind of disagree with that, or they're just a bit of an arsehole, again, no real harm done. You can kind of just get rid of them, or just close the call there and say, look, like, if you're not really willing to go through the process, that's not a problem, but I don't think we should go any further. Some people may be like, okay, cool, sorry, yeah, let's start again. Or some people will be like, yeah, that's fine. And then cool, you just saved yourself some time and probably a massive headache as well. And then finally, seek to understand first. So selling, there's so much stuff online about it's convincing people, it's persuading people, it's not letting them off the phone, it's tricking them, objection handling. If you actually understand their problem and you can fix their problem with your solution, service, or product, That's going to go a long way to convincing that person in the first place. If, for example, they're saying, I don't really need this or all this stuff, and you're kind of trick them, like, you do need this because of this, they're just not going to like you. At the end of the day, they're probably going to cancel, they're going to churn, they're probably going to give you a pretty bad review somewhere, or if you've got a manager, they'll probably let your manager know. So better just avoid that, and again, just try to be honest, straightforward, and respectful of the people that you're selling to. So without further ado, we'll jump into the process. So the first thing you can do here, which again, this is only really applicable if you're a business owner or you have some sort of control over this, is to fix your offer. So a weak offer will lose you deals no matter kind of how well you close. And the reason for that is that if every prospect is kind of joining these calls to shop around and your offer is no different to a competitor, they might be a bit cheaper, you're just not going to win that deal. Where if, for example, you had a clear offer, it had a specific outcome within a time frame of like, look, in 30 days you'll have XYZ, and if you don't achieve this, here's the guarantee saying you get your money back, or we work with you for free until we do, or whatever it might be. Again, that just takes all the risk off of your prospect, puts it onto you, and that will make them feel more relaxed. A lot of deals, or a lot of sort of prospects that I've spoken to, they've gone to competitors of mine and it hasn't worked out, and they've just kept their money. And not only has it kind of, well, they've had a bad experience because they didn't get the result, but it's left a bad taste to the point where they wouldn't even recommend them to people. I've had clients when I worked in software sales who churned, but because they had such a good experience, they said, look, I'm going to recommend some people to you who this is a fit for. And the reason that they did churn was because they bought a system and they never actually used it or anything like that, which is fine. These things happen. But as long as you're honest with people and respectful, they'll always come back to you. And they may also send people your way too, just because, again, you'll stand out in a market full of people who are trying to be very pushy, trying to hit quota, trying to hit their sales targets, trying to hit their company revenue targets, with no regard for actually what the prospect wants. If you can't say your offer in one sentence, again, this is going to be a big problem. If a prospect, for example, asks you, so what is it that you do, and you can't explain it there, and then you're kind of stumbling over your words and you're acting confused, they're going to be like, well, if this person doesn't even know what they're offering, why should I believe that either? And then weak signs as well, again, just vague, generic, could be anyone's offer. It's not specific to you. There's nothing kind of amazing about it, or there's no kind of scarcity or urgency or no guarantee. So these are all just things to look into. And if you want some advice on this in the community, I've built out a whole module for free. You can go through videos that will talk you through every single step that you need to go through to build out your Grand Slam offer and to fix this as well. The next part we'll move on to is actually prepping for the call. So again, another step that people often overlook, they'll have a sales call booked in their diary, they'll rock up, they'll try free ball it, and it just goes really badly, or the prospect says, I'll think about it, and you never hear from them again. Reason being is they're probably a little bit confused, or they didn't really get the answer they want, or they just didn't think you came across as particularly prepared or professional, which is also a very sorry impression to leave on that person. So basics here, just research the prospect first. It may be a case they're on LinkedIn, or you can Google them, or you know something about them, or maybe on School, for example, or a different platform. Just make sure you've researched them as best as you possibly can before that call. Maybe a case you can't actually find that person online, but you can find their company online or something about them. Just go there prepared with some information, so if they ask, you can demonstrate you've actually prepared for that as well. The next thing to do is have a structure ready. Have an agenda. You don't really have to have a script. I would more operate with a structure rather than a script. Reason being is that if you're sat there reading off a script to your prospects, it's going to feel very staged, very forced, very awkward. You're not going to feel comfortable too, because again, your eyes will just be following the script the whole time rather than kind of looking at the prospect. And if they say something that doesn't align with the script, they're just going to be a little bit like, it just feels a little bit awkward, like a little bit icky and uncomfortable to be on the receiving end of. So what I'd do is put together a structure, and the structure itself would go like introduction to the call, agenda, where you just outline how the call is going to go, into your discovery, into the presentation or proposal or whatever the demo part of the call that you need to go into. Then go to kind of objection handling / closing. Sometimes you won't have objections, sometimes you will. And in the closing stage, rather than being very pushy and this kind of stuff, it's more just a case of like, are you ready to move ahead, or sort of something like that. But I'll save that bit for a little bit later, because I've actually got a section on that I've put together. Qualify as well before the call. Is there anything you can see on their website or anything like that that makes them look like they're not a fit? So a big thing I used to do when I worked in software sales is just go onto the company website, and you could see exactly the type of recruitment that they did, because we sold CRMs to recruitment companies. We would find on that we specialize in healthcare recruitment, and we do locum, which is people on like short hour contracts or something like that. I'm not too sure myself, but basically what that would mean is that we didn't have the correct software that they would need to track those workers. So again, that would instantly disqualify them. So before the call would happen, I'd just ring them up and be like, hey, is this what you're looking for? They'd say yes. Okay, cool. Don't want to waste your time. We're not really a fit. Then I'd recommend them to a provider that would do that. Again, a bit of just builds a bit of goodwill. Also actually used to get me a few clients coming back the other way as well, just when they were looking at other parts of recruitment they wanted to focus on. Just make sure you've prepped, because it will also just save you time too. Next is, again, just agreeing how the call will go. That's all part of the agenda. So like, are you comfortable if we go through this? This is how my process works. If the person's like, nope, just want to know the price or this, like, that's what, look, I don't really think this is going to be a good fit, especially if they're already disagreeing with your process at the start of a sales call. Never mind when they start working with you, because if they're going to disagree with your sales call process, it's not going to go well for you once they actually become a client. And again, make sure you have reminders, so calendar invites like the 24 hours before, have some information and case studies that go over to them. If you use tools like Calendly or anything like that, you can automate those reminders. For our company Vero, for example, we had a brochure we had attached, so 24 hours before it would go over, it would have information about them and that kind of stuff. So that's all good. And then the next stage we'll look at here is actually running the call itself. So as I said on that agenda, so at the start, just lower the guard. Don't try build fake rapport. Just be like, hey, how's it going? Yep, cool. Where are you calling in from? If you even want to do that, like I said at the start, you don't really have to. Jump into the discovery, ask them questions, just try to understand in your mind rather than it being like a forced process of a call that you don't really want to. Use that as like, I need to know all this information about these people. And if you don't know what information that you need to know, just sit down with a pen and paper, write down, cool. So for this solution to help someone, what problems they need to have? What do I know that they need to have done before? What do I know to essentially make sure that this person is qualified for whatever that I'm selling for this to then be able to help them? Once you have all of that, then just work backwards and be like, cool, what questions do I need to ask to get that information? Once you have those questions written out, just chuck that into your structure. And if you go, look, I've got a couple like preset questions I like to go through. This will just help me qualify you to make sure that we can definitely help you with this and also save you a fair bit of time. Do you mind if we just run through those? No one's really going to say no. And if they do, again, probably just not going to be a fit for what it is that you're selling. And then now what you want to do is called Build the Gap. There's a really good book on this called Gap Selling, worth checking out. Is say like, look, so this is where you are now. In 6 months time, if we were to implement this, what would this mean for you? And they would be like, oh, well, I would get time back. I get to see the kids more. The business would make more money. I'd be able to quit my job and do whatever it might be, like a variety of different things. But realistically, what you want in their mind is for them to start thinking, cool, so I'm here now. If I was to do something about it and change it, this will get me to here. How do we do that? So again, that's another thing. Again, we can go into more detail inside the school community, but for now, that's just something you want to be thinking about. If you give that a quick Google, or again, jump into the community, got more information on that too. In that as well, while building the gap, you can let them feel the cost of what it's like to actually feel like they're staying stuck. So cool, so you're here today. If nothing changes, what would that mean if you're in the exact same spot 6 months from now? And that'd be frustrated and all that kind of stuff. And with all this information too, what you want to then do is kind of make a note of it, have a pen and paper or have like a Google Doc. I prefer to write it by hand, just feels a little bit more natural, and make it also can't hear like the keys like clacking as you're typing away, and just be like, cool, so they said this, and be like, cool, so you said that this is what you want to achieve, is that all correct? Confirm it with them, and then they'll be like, also this, or they'll just say, yep, that's all good. Okay, cool. From that point, you then move on to the next stage of the call. So in terms of handling objections, we've done an in-depth module on this in the school community. Just reason being is that it can be very much case by case, and we do have live calls on a daily basis going through this stuff as well. We can come and actually ask us questions. But in terms of I need to think about it, typically in my experience, that just means that they either don't see the value in it, they're not quite clear what it is you're selling, or they just don't think it's worth the price that you've offered to them. So with this, I just go back to them like, look, what is it that you need to think about? Is it the timing? Is it the price? Or give them a few options, and then with that, you'll uncover the actual objection, the price as well. I think this is too expensive. Never, if you can avoid it, especially if you're a business owner, just avoid giving discounts, because then all you've done in the prospect's eyes is make it look like what you were charging in the first place wasn't worth it. Try to throw something in there. So for example, if you're doing coaching or you're an agency owner, say, look, I'll throw in an extra one-to-one call per month, or we'll do XYZ, or we'll help you find leads, or whatever it might be, whatever you can think of with which is relevant to your offer. Add in an additional amount of stuff rather than taking stuff away, because you can then say to the prospect, cool, like, so for all this price, you get this and this. And if they're like, no, like, look, I literally just don't have the money, then start taking things out So you can then lower the price but take stuff out of the offer. So for example, if again a coaching offer, you were to have 3 one-to-one calls a week, but like, cool, we'll knock that down to 1. I can then charge you a third of the price. So all you've done then really is align the value of what you're selling with the price, just by removing the features as well. So just bear that in mind. Don't just give someone a discount and offer them the exact same service, because again, it's just not going to go particularly well for you. And you'll often find with those clients as well that they're the ones that take the most of your time and just be a complete headache for you. And then prevent common objections earlier in the call. So if in your calls, this is why you need to be recording your calls, your transcripts. If you get the same objections over and over and over again, what you want to do is make a note of these, and in your pre-call brochure or in your calendar questions or whatever it might be, pre-handle those. So say, look, like, we have an FAQ section here, people often ask this, here's the answer. So then they come to the call thinking, oh, this person's, I already know the answer, I don't need to ask that now. That's just a problem that's already dealt with, you don't have to then bother with. The other thing you can do as well is stay calm. So when someone is objecting, essentially what they're looking to do is find out information from you. It tends to be a buying signal as well. If someone doesn't really have any problems at all, or they're like, nope, all sounds good, you're probably not going to hear from them again. They'll just dust. So stay calm, be like, cool, yep, let me just make sure I understood what it is that you're saying correctly. Ask for more information if you need. But remember, this is just a sales conversation. It's not a competition. You're not trying to beat this person. You just want to make sure that you're both aligned on the same page, so it both feels like you get the win. The next thing we want to look at is the close. So just ask for it directly. Be like, cool, so do you feel like, yeah, this is something you're ready to move ahead with today, or are you comfortable moving ahead with this, or should we do it? And if after you kind of ask that question, you've told them the price, just sit back. Don't say anything. Don't fill the silence. It'll feel so incredibly awkward, but you just have to sit in there. You have to kind of roll with it, and you'll get better and better and more comfortable with it over time. But just say, look, are we ready to do this today? Sit back, and then again, they'll either say yes, or you'll get some more objections that you can then handle. But in some cases as well, you'll get objections that are literally like, okay, fair enough, like, I want to catch up in 6 months because I literally don't have the money, or our business is doing this. That's fine, let's just catch up then. Book a meeting from a meeting, get a calendar invite sorted while you're on the call with them for a catch-up call, then just keep in touch with them. And with this as well, when they say they're ready to go ahead, you can then just get them to sell themselves a little bit more again as well. Like, cool, what is it that you kind of really want from this? And that they'll kind of repeat back to you what they've already said. But again, just another way to do that. I don't really tend to do that, because I mean, if they said yes, like, just take the win, get everything wrapped up, get them like, cool, here's the next steps. And just make sure it's extremely clear to that person as well what happens next. There's nothing worse than someone agrees to buy from you, or you agreed to buy from someone, then you kind of unsure. It's like, okay, cool, so how do we start? Just make sure you have that mapped out clearly and make it feel like a natural, calm process that you can then take them through. And with this as well, so like I said, if they say no, that just means they're not ready to buy yet, or they're unclear on something, or they need to actually generally speak to the decision maker, or someone else involved in the process who is unavailable. Just keep kind of in touch with them. As I said, book the meeting from a meeting, have that in the calendar. You can either just give them a call now and then, like, hey, like, how's everything going? Or just chuck them through an email, be like, cool, thought this might be of interest to you, just help this client achieve XYZ. Never just kind of send them a pointless email, being like, hey, like, just checking in, or just following up, where are we up to with this? Because again, it just feels very awkward and natural and salesy. Just keep in touch with them, have a conversation with them like they're a normal human, keep them informed in the process, and just make them feel at ease, as if like you do this all the time. And then when they are ready to buy, they won't feel like they've been pressured the whole time. They feel relaxed and be like, cool, I'm gonna get back in touch with Harry now, we're gonna rip this, I'm very keen to kind of get started. Where with some people, where I've made this mistake before, you kind of keep on them too much and they're just like, whoa, like, I'm actually not interested anymore, like, you've kind of put me off it, and you're like, okay, yeah, like, lesson learned. But just keep it calm, keep it persistent, don't be needy, don't like act as if like you're doing it because you desperately need their money. Do it because it's like you want to actually help them get to the outcome they desire. If you can switch your mindset to that, it's about helping the person, not taking their money, that will just massively help you feel more calm and more natural throughout your sales calls too. And then the next one here, and this is a massive one that people always miss, is track and improve. So every deal you do, track it in an Excel spreadsheet or a CRM if you have one. Make sure you're kind of mapping it through the stages from like booking the call, having the meeting, make notes, put the notes into there, keep on top of it. Review your calls, so make sure you're recording your calls and getting your transcripts. If you use things like Google Meet or Zoom, they have the feature built in for that now as well, so you can use AI to transcribe it. With that, always review them, put them into AI, bang it into Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini and be like, look, could you just give me some feedback on this call? And over time as well, it will realize how you're selling, how your patterns operate, and it can give you more and more feedback, which will just help you improve too. Again, you'll also highlight from tracking this too, where a lot of people are dropping off. So with one of our clients, for example, they'd have really good sales calls, things would go really well. Then once they would come off the call, the person like, I need to think about it, and then they disappear. And the thing that we found with that person is that when they were saying their offer, it was so kind of convoluted and confusing that the person by the end of it was like, I thought this was like something else. So once we tighten that, again, that fixed that problem, but you don't get to that point unless you keep tracking it and looking at it, and then just keep repeats. Everything we've gone through here, the 7 stages, just rinse and repeat, go over it and over it. Your first few times, this will feel incredibly unnatural, awkward, uncomfortable, but once you have this framework in place, you'll get so much better at sales, close so many more deals, your prospects will have a better experience, and you'll actually start enjoying your calls as well. And if you just kind of want to get to the point of this, you want to have handheld throughout the process. Harrison and I are running an 8-week cohort, so they start the first couple of days of each month. You'll get 2 calls a week for 8 weeks, and you can jump on. We'll help you build out your whole sales call structure, answer any questions you've got, role play with you, do Q&As. There'll be other people there as well, so you can also chat with them and learn from them too. But if you want more information on that, jump into the closing clinic at skool.com/send. It's a free to join, so there's also free content in there on building your offer, pre-call prep, and running the call too. But if you want some help implementing this and held accountable so you actually do it, jump in, have a chat with us, and we'll see how we can help. But yeah, hope this video was helpful, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments or jump in the community and DM me directly. And yeah, hope it was useful.